Welcome to A Course in Business Miracles. This is Heather Dominic, creator of BusinessMiracles.com and founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement. Join me today for some genuine practical assistance and a business-altering and life-changing experience, a business miracle. This is A Course in Business Miracles, episode number 53. HSE feature with Regine Roy. Welcome to this Business Miracles HSE feature episode. I am just really thrilled to be featuring Regine Roy as a member of the Business Miracles community and as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Regine, aside from being a valued member of the Business Miracles community, is the president and founder of Queen Genius Incorporated, where she uses her HSE strengths to powerfully support educational communities in engaging and reinvigorating students who have been victims of neglect, intergenerational poverty, and sexual trauma. She has also helped in shifting hierarchical dynamics in academic and corporate settings, empowering professionals to seek out the possibility of horizontal and vertical peer-to-peer mentoring. Regine and her Queen Genius programs offer a wide range of engaging activities, from artistic performances to workshops and seminars to group mentoring and self-development conferences. Listen in as I talk with Regine, who shares how she and I met when she was just 15 years old, and now years later went from helping me for free at a training retreat to becoming a member of the Business Miracles community for the last 4 years. I am really proud of Regine because in that time, she quit her job in state politics where she was making $28,000 a year to now being on the verge of generating 6 figures a year by bringing her social emotional programs and empowerment programs to schools for young women. She is such an incredible, bright, brilliant woman in her 30s, making this amazing impact on other young women and their lives. It is just such an honor to be a part of her journey, and I'm just so pleased to be sharing this episode with you today. Welcome, Regine. I'm so happy to be connected with you today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! All right, so it's really great to be able to feature you as a highly sensitive entrepreneur in the Business Miracles community. So I'd love for you to start by just sharing, a little bit about when you and I first connected. Let's talk about that first. And then also when you discovered that you were a highly sensitive entrepreneur. How did this all come about?
Awesome. So you and I first connected when I was 15 years old at Washington Irving High School. I was a sophomore, and you were a new teacher to the school. This was, I believe, back in 2001. And you were my English teacher. And then the following year, we really got to work very closely together because you were also the drama teacher at the school. And we got to work together doing a few high school musicals. And it was amazing.
It's true. You and I know each other from my former life before I even became self-employed. And as you said, you were a student, and it's amazing that we are still connected all these years later. It's such an honor for me and means so much to me, our continued connection. And so what happened between then and now? When did you discover that you were a highly sensitive entrepreneur, and how did you end up as part of the Business Miracles community?
Yeah, so I love telling this story because I tell it to everyone, but I literally feel like I had a calling back in maybe 2013. So you and I were still connected on Facebook, social media, and I had seen a lot of your posts, and, I saw you at conferences. They looked like conferences that you were putting together. I knew that they were for entrepreneurs. I had this budding thought that I wanted to quit my job. I was working in state politics at the time. I wanted to quit my job and do my own thing. I didn't know how to do it. And in 2014, I ended up sending you a Facebook message and just asked if you would be open to meeting up. You were very open to it. And I believe it was in about June of 2014, you and I met in a little coffee shop in Harlem. And we just spoke about my aspirations. You had shared with me all of your successes with your Business Miracles program. And I remember being in a panic as we were about to part ways from each other. And I was like, oh my God, like I cannot leave here without, this connection staying. And so I asked if you would be open to me volunteering with you. And you said yes. And I got to go to my first training retreat in Florida. I think it was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the time. And I remember sitting in my first training retreat, and I was acting as your personal assistant on that day, for those several days. And one, I got to see you in your element, but two, I got to be in the space of other women who were also highly sensitive, a term that at the time I did not know and I was not yet familiar with. But I just remember feeling at home. And I remember being around some of the quirkiest and also passionate and creative entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs. And I remember feeling like, yeah, this is me. This is me. And if they can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's so interesting because I didn't know, of course, that you were feeling panic when we were first having that lunch together and as we were getting ready to leave. But I do remember, just being really struck by the fact that you asked if you could volunteer, and that showed me that, this was something that was definitely real and a calling for you. And I also remember you sharing with me that when you attended that first training retreat, one of the things that you were really struck by is that you felt really validated, that you were in this room with highly sensitive entrepreneurs who were very energy-oriented and very emotional, but also really creating some incredible, solid financial success. And that was one of the things that really struck you from that first training retreat.
Oh my goodness. Right? I could go on and on about that day. Yes, you totally have it right. It was extremely validating. And I remember just thinking to myself, this community, like I knew that I had never been in a community like that one before. And I just, something in my spirit just knew, like, whether I was ready to sign up right then and there or not, I knew that being in that space was going to change my life. And it has.
Yeah, so beautiful. So beautiful that you were able to connect into that knowing, which makes sense since one of our HSE strengths is intuition, and yours obviously was really at work for you there. And so now, fast forward, how many years have you been a part of the Business Miracles community, and what mentoring program are you a part of?
So I've been a part of the Business Miracle community since January 2015, so for 4 years, and I am part of the core program.
Mm-hmm. So it's so great because we've actually now worked together longer in Business Miracles than we did when I was your high school drama teacher. Isn't that amazing?
I know, it's so crazy. It's insane.
I know. But again, I really love it. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. So if you don't want to answer on the spot, that's totally fine. But this just occurred to me, which is I'm so curious because you and I have talked, at so many different times in so many different ways about your transformation. But I'm also curious if you've noticed anything about myself in terms of who I was as your teacher and now who I am as your business mentor. Is there anything that comes to mind for you about what you've seen in regards to my transformation?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because I've never really, I can't say that I've given this much thought. I do always remember back when I was in high school, I remember you being amazing and special. And I also remember feeling privileged to be in your presence which I still feel to this day. But back when we were in high school, you were always very confident. You were very knowing. I just feel like over the years, this is just more of your element. Like, you seem happier. Not that you didn't seem happy back then, but there's just like an ease that you have, like a grace that you have that I think was always there, but it's evolved. And it's evolved in a way where other people now can receive it. And I only say that to say, like, maybe back when I was in high school, I probably looked at how you were showing up as something that was unattainable. And now, because you teach these principles and because now you've created this pathway for other people to achieve this sense of ease, like, I just get that you are the vessel for it. So I don't know if that clearly captures the evolution that I've seen, but there's just more of like a knowing, a sureness that you have that I think was always there, but it's definitely evolved over the years.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And I just think it's just such a unique connection that you and I have. And just, as I said, occurred to me like, oh, I wonder what Regine has been seeing from her side, because I know, again, what I've been able to see for you from my side. And I do really appreciate what you highlighted, because whenever I get asked about my previous life as a high school teacher, one of the things that I say is that I love the work so much, and I loved my students so much, and I just felt very suffocated by the traditional school system. So a lot of what I hear you speaking to is that your experience is that I've been able to take the love that I had, for the work, for the teaching, for the students, and work with it in a self-created environment with the Business Miracles mentoring programs and the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement that I've started. So there is more room for that love and that work to happen. So
I think, it makes me think of, we all have this level of brilliance that's already there. And all it takes is for us to create the environment that we need to be in order for that brilliance to flourish. And I know that you've been able to do that through Business Miracles, and we're all learning, all of your clients are all learning how to do that through our own businesses. I feel like I'm well on my way to doing that.
Absolutely. So brilliantly said, and I would really agree with you. So let's talk about that a little bit. What difference has being a part of the Business Miracles mentoring programs and community? What has that done for you, and what have you been able to create?
Oh my goodness, so much. Oh my goodness, where do I begin? So Business Miracles, well, on one end, as we mentioned earlier, there's something definitely that has to be said about feeling validated. And I think that for myself, I've always been told that I was too deep and too weird, and, there's no need to have like these in-depth conversations, and you have to control your feelings. I remember one of the first times that I cried on the job when I was working in state politics. I was told to man up by my boss, who was my former boss. And being in this community, I've really learned to validate the emotions that I feel on a regular basis. And I've also learned that everything that I feel is a strength, I just need to hone those feelings in a way that works both for myself and for the people that I serve. That's such a huge thing, because I no longer feel like I have to suppress myself. And through my business, Cooking Geniuses Incorporated, I work with both students and professionals. I train professionals in how to effectively bring social emotional programs to schools, and I bring empowerment programs to schools for young women. And through the permission that I've been given to myself, that I've given to myself through this program to feel, I give permission to my clients to feel, and we're able to have incredible conversations, and they're able to experience incredible breakthroughs as a result of that.
so beautiful. That's always what makes such a difference to me when I really hear about, HSEs in the Business Miracles community who are really showing up and doing what I refer to as the real work, and that one of the primary payoffs is then that you get to turn that experience around and pay it forward, and so that your clients are able to experience the ripple effect of what you've invested, in terms of your time and your energy and resources in regards to your own growth. So I love hearing that. Love, love, love. And let's also talk about the financials, because this is a really big deal in terms of what you have been able to create, what you're continuing to create in regards to income generation, and especially because, it's important to highlight that, as you said, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, the work that you do is that you take programs into the public school arena. So it's a very unique model and is very different than enrolling clients one-on-one, and you have really done it in such a stellar way. So what have you been able to receive as, compensation in regards to income generation as a result to this amazing program that you've created?
So in 2018, I made over $80,000 in program sales. And in 2019, I am projecting that I could potentially double that rate of business. By the second quarter of the year, I would have already brought in about $70,000, which is crazy to me, especially considering the fact that back when I was working in politics, I was only bringing in about $28,000 a year after taxes.
Yeah. I mean, this is just really, really phenomenal, Regine. It's such an incredible accomplishment. And I definitely do see this doubling, and then I'm seeing it continue to grow as you really stay with it. And I think it's also worthwhile to mention that back when you and I had that lunch and you were still working in politics, you were holding an annual conference, underneath your current business brand, but it was something that you did for free, and it's something that you put a lot of time and energy into, really working your tail off, and again, for free. And so to be able to shift that, because that's something that so many highly sensitive entrepreneurs are up against, is they recognize they have a calling, a talent, a skill, but how to be able to translate that into a really solid, financially sustainable business model. It takes both inner and outer work, and you have really been doing that. And this six-figure plus is beautiful, beautiful evidence of that. So I really bow down to you and give you so much credit for what you've done.
Thank you. And can I just share one more thing?
Of course.
About that? A huge thing. One of the things that I took out of my business model in 2019 is that conference. And not because I didn't love the conference. I loved doing it. But just because there was really no return on investment that I was receiving for it. And so I really learned how to develop boundaries for myself, with my clients, and with, the work that I'm going to do for them, and what I'm going to get out of the work that I'm putting in. And that's something that I never thought about, the return of investment that I would get on anything. I was doing things from my heart. I was doing things because they felt good. And while that is important as an entrepreneur, it's important that whatever I am putting out, I'm getting something in return for it as well. So those boundaries that I have in place with both clients have also transferred into my personal life. And it's just really changed my life for the better.
Yeah, so beautiful and so powerful and so important, and definitely something that I know you have been, working on diligently and specifically, and you and I have had mentoring exchanges around that over the years, and you've really taken the Business Miracles teachings and put those to work for you in this way, and that's why I say I definitely see the income will only continue to increase as you stay with it. So along these lines, what advice do you have for other HSEs who maybe are listening in and just really doubting that they could experience or create the type of transformation both for themselves and their business that you obviously have done and continue to do? What do you have to say to them?
My advice for other HSEs is if you feel called to be a part of the Business Miracles community, if you feel called, if your spirit is saying this is something that you should possibly do, my advice is for you to listen to that inner voice. It's just listen, sign up, join this community, and if you need to, reach out to people who have been a part of the community just for further insight. But join, listen to your intuition, listen to your heart, listen to your gut. You will not be making the wrong decision.
So beautifully said. I so appreciate that. And where can listeners find out more about you and the incredible Queen Genius work that you are creating and putting out into the world?
Yes, listeners could find me at www.regineroy.com. And you can also find some more information about the work that I do on Instagram at Queen Geniuses.
So awesome. Well, again, our continued connection and the fact that we have been connected since you were a student and I was a high school teacher when you were 15 years old, and now you are this incredible woman, bright, brilliant woman in her 30s, making this incredible impact on other young women and their lives. It is just such an honor to be a part of your journey, be a part of your life, and I'm just so glad that we got to share this HSE feature interview as part of all of it. So thank you so much, Regine.
Thank you so much. We are connected for life. You've got me forever. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Course in Business Miracles. If you're ready to learn how to use your highly sensitive abilities to support you in being purposeful, profitable, and empowered rather than scattered, poor, and undervalued, take my free self-quiz to find out if you are indeed a highly sensitive entrepreneur. And if you are, along with your quiz results, you'll receive my free HSE Success Guide, which will teach you how to have your highly sensitive abilities working for you to create the results you desire in your business. Take the quiz and receive your free success guide now at www.hsequiz.com.